In this document, I will reveal the new evolution psychology-based NeuraFunnel that we're using to generate pre-framed and high-quality sales calls on autopilot for coaches, consultants, and experts. The reality of 2025 is that we've officially entered an attention recession. Your prospects are sleepwalking through a fog of gurus trying to scream offers at them. The attention span for advertisements is on average about 2.5 seconds, and yet every coach, consultant, or course creator's ads and marketing messages are all the same. Nothing new, nothing unique, and nothing that stands out. And this is a surefire way to fail. You need something far better in order to win in today's ultra-competitive marketplace. You need a way to capture and keep prospects' attention and then lay out a full marketing argument on why your system is better than the competition's and why it's exactly what they need to solve their problem and get the results they're looking for. The solution for this is the NeuraFunnel, which ethically exploits your prospects' deeply rooted evolutionary psychology and is able to bypass the reptilian brain to avoid the number one killer of ads and marketing, which is something called categorization, which I'll go through in depth in just a minute. And this, when you implement this leads to a low cost per lead, low cost per call, and ultimately a low cost per acquisition, allowing you to scale profitably. And I'll go through everything in just a minute. And here's some proof of the results that this has been able to generate. These are all monthly stats from the clients that I work with. Here, as you can see, 86,000 in spend, $1.6 million in revenue with an 18.9x return. When I started working with this coach, he did 15K. We did 15K in the first month of us working together, and we scaled all the way up to 1.6 million a month within 12 months. And we hovered around 1.3 to 1.6 million a month for 5 months after that. Here's another one, monthly stats, 78K in spend, and we generated $332,000 in revenue with a 4.2x return, 190K collected. Here, 15K in spend, 64K in revenue with a 3.4x return. Here, 10K, about 11K in spend, 55K in rev with 4.4x ROI. Here, 12K in November in spend, 101K in revenue, 5.3x return. Here, 6.8K in spend, 150K in revenue with 21x ROAS. So that's just a couple of results. So we're doing this through something called the NeuraFunnel, which I'm going to cover in depth in this video. It's night and day different from all the common marketing methods you're familiar with because it's able to bypass the prospect's reptilian brain by positioning your offer and mechanism, which is your process that delivers the clients the results, as new, novel, and superior in your prospect's mind, which then ultimately forces your marketing message straight into the neocortex of the prospect, thus creating higher conversions, leading to more qualified sales calls at a lower cost, which then leads to a lower cost to acquire a customer, which then leads to more sales and higher profit margins. And I'll cover it in depth in just a minute on why this actually matters and why without being able to bypass your prospect's reptilian brain will lead to your marketing being very ineffective in today's ultra competitive advertising landscape. So you're going to be blown away this, I promise. It's all based on deep evolutionary psychology. On top of this, what the NeuraFunnel does is that it creates the belief that your unique mechanism is better and more effective than anything else out there, creating the belief that your system is exactly what they need to solve their problem and that it's better than the competitor solutions, which is crucial in marketing. Now, the effect of all this is that your marketing will do all the heavy lifting, which means that once the prospect gets the call, all you or your closer needs to do is sell people on the program. And here's why this is crucial. There's two sales that have to happen whenever you're selling coaching or consulting. First is the sale on the system, so your actual system and how you get the results to your clients, and then actually the sale on the program, like how long it is, what is the pricing, so on and so forth. So first, you need to get the prospects to believe that your system is exactly what they need to solve their problem and that it's new and different from everything else out there. Then, once that belief is established, you need to sell them on the actual program, the price, the length of the program, so on and so forth. So the NeuraFunnel creates the first sale systemically and fully automated, making selling almost superfluous. How? Due to the way this process is structured all the way from the ads to the marketing funnel, the prospects will get on your sales calls already pre-framed, believing that your system is the thing that will solve their problem. Then All you have to do is sell them on the program, which is the easy part. And this is how you turn your salespeople into cashiers. So my name is Ville Lehtonen. You may recognize my name. I'm the guy who builds marketing systems for many highly successful coaches and consultants in the info space. People like Joel Kaplan from Agency Lab, who's doing 1 million a month. Fernando Gonzalez, who's Robert Kiyosaki's, and that's the Rich Dad business partner for 25 years. Jose Pena, Dallas Hellman, 8-figure real estate coaching business. Boyd Hook, multi-7-figure coach. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and the list goes on. So I've worked with dozens of high-level coaches, consultants over the past 9 years, spent 5 million on ads so far and generated 30 million plus in revenue for the clients that I worked with. Just one of the clients that I worked with, I was able to scale from 15K per month all the way to 1.6 million a month in revenue in 12 months. And that was the guy who you saw here. That's the first case study. And I've invested into multiple 5 figures into learning from the best marketing and advertising coaches in the world. Guys like Jason Hornung, Todd Brown, who I was mentored by originally, Sarbi Subi, who I met in Dubai in a mastermind, Ashton Sanks, Sam Ovens, and so on and so forth. And what I've done basically is taken everything I've learned from these top experts throughout the years and synthesized everything together into one system, which is now the NeuraFunnel. Okay, moving on. The truth is that we've officially entered the attention recession, and here's some proof of that. So online attention is getting shorter. They've essentially found to a study that the average attention span is about 2.5 seconds. And this was made in a huge study, so a lot of participants to actually get the results. And here's dwell time, so how long people actually look at online ads. And as you can see, basically after 3 seconds, there's only about 40% of people of the original 100% of people watching that ad. And after 5 seconds, you can see that it drops to all the way down to 20%. So 80% of people are gone, right? And then how many ads your prospects see on a daily basis. Essentially, your prospects see about 5,000 to 10,000 ads per day. This was done in 2007, which was 5,000 ads, and today it's about 10,000 ads on average. And this is why normal advertising, typical sales funnels, and normal promises like get 20 sales calls with ads or lose 10 pounds in 1 week and common mechanisms no longer work. I know because I used to run all these things for clients before I knew any better. And did I get results? Yes, but it was a hit or miss. Sometimes client would get great results, sometimes not, and I had no idea why. Now, these methods no longer work mainly because they're unable to bypass your prospect's reptilian brain. Simply put, what this means is that the ads and the marketing do not capture and keep people's attention well enough in today's marketplace, competitive marketplace, enough to actually go through an entire marketing process from the ad to the sales funnel all the way to scheduling a call. And most people drop off in the first 1 to 5 seconds of viewing your ad, so they don't even make it to the sales funnel. Here's just a result from a client where you can see the average video playtime. We spent 10K on this, and the average playtime is about 5 seconds. And no, I'm not talking about just doing something crazy in the first 5 seconds of your video ad, or saying something outlandish in your ad copy just to get people's attention, or doing some kind of editing trickery in your video in attempt to keep people engaged. That's surface level stuff and doesn't work if the psychology, the deep psychology of your marketing is not on point. And this goes much, much deeper than that. And when you do this essentially leads to a high cost per lead, high cost per call, high no-show and cancel rates, low close rates, and ultimately high cost per acquisition, which means that you end up paying way too much to acquire customers, so you're left with no profit at the end of the day and you can't grow your business. So here's the old way of client acquisition. You're running typical ads that everyone has seen 1,000 times. Here's just a couple of examples. So as you can see, nothing new, nothing exciting, nothing unique. Your messaging is the same as everyone else's. There's nothing unique about your system that the prospect can immediately see. There's nothing that separates you from the 1,000, 100,000 other coaches out there. And due to the fact that we're in an attention recession, where most people will give you ad exactly 2 to 3 seconds to capture the attention, the result of this that most people will skip your ads, which leads to a high cost per lead, high cost per call, and high cost per sale. And even if people who actually click on your ads and get to your funnel, they leave before watching a video sales on their webinar. So they never book a call, which obviously then leads to a high cost per lead, call, and a sale. And even a lot of people who end up booking that call, ultimately they don't show up because you're completely commoditized in their minds. So there's no urgency, no reason to actually show up. So people just end up ghosting you, which obviously leads to a high cancel and no-show rate, right? And trying to run a business where your customer acquisition cost is so high that you end up with no profit or low profit at the end of the day obviously doesn't work, especially at scale. Now, here's what happens in the prospect's brain when you're marketing like this. And this goes super, super deep, so pay attention. As I'm sure you know, the brain is broken down into three parts. There's the reptilian brain, which is the lowest part. Then there's the limbic brain, which is the second part, and neocortex, which is the youngest part there. So at the top, we have the youngest part of the brain, neocortex, which is where it's all of the complex thinking, rationalization, and calculating and decision making is done. So when a prospect decides to book in a call with you, or anybody else for that matter, to potentially buy your high ticket offer, they're operating out of their neocortex, which will become extremely important to remember in a few minutes, because this is the reason why your current ads, offers, and overall marketing is not working to the level that it could, as I'll explain in just a minute. Then in the middle, you have the limbic brain, which is responsible for essentially all emotional responses. And finally, you have the reptilian brain, which is the lowest part here, which has evolved over millions upon millions of years and is responsible for survival and instincts. Now, something important here, is also responsible for filtering all new incoming messages and information that your brain receives from the outside world. So as an example, think of seeing ads while you're scrolling through your IG feed. So the reptilian brain wants to categorize any message that it gets so that it doesn't have to expound any energy. It wants to know if this information that it's receiving, whether it's a mate, food, or something I should kill, or something that I should ignore. So the new information first enters the reptilian brain, then into the limbic brain, and then into the neocortex. So it essentially goes through these three levels. So when this part of our brain, the reptilian brain, filters new information, it essentially quickly, using the least amount of effort, identifies all the information that could affect us, and then it ignores everything else. So essentially, it filters the new piece of information based on whether it's something we absolutely need to deal with, or if it's something out of the ordinary, because something new, something out of the ordinary, something weird could harm us. Now, if a piece of information is something we've dealt with 100 times before, the reptilian brain simply ignores it through something called categorization. So it puts the message, which is in this case the ad, into a category of like, hey, I've seen this before, right? So as an example, when you're riding down the street in your car through a road that you've driven through like 100 times, and you see trees along the side of the road, your brain does not spend any time consciously processing those trees. You know that the trees are there, but you're not thinking about, oh, there's a tree, there's a tree, there's a tree. That doesn't happen. Despite you noticing them, you don't think about them consciously, right? Reason being is because your reptilian brain simply ignores and categorizes that piece of information because it's seen them 1,000 times. So it's like, hey, I've seen this 1,000 times, it's not important to me. However, if the reptilian brain determines that the piece of information that it just received is new, novel, exciting, or out of the ordinary, then and only then will I accept that information and send it to the neocortex. As an example, if you're driving down the same street and you see a Bigfoot holding an AK-47, your brain will stop and essentially pay attention because it's something different and new, right? So in other words, unless your marketing message can get past the reptilian brain of your prospects into the limbic brain and then into the neocortex, they're going to ignore your ads and doesn't ever book in that call with you, because remember, at the point which your prospect books in a consult with you or that sales call with you, they're operating out of the neocortex. Why? Because the decision to book in a call happens in the neocortex, since this is where all of our complex thinking, rationalization, and calculating and decision making is done. So people need to rationalize and have a good reason to book a call before doing so. And if a message never gets that part of the brain, it's never going to happen. And so the reason why your ads and overall marketing is being ignored by your prospects is simple. Whatever market you're in, your prospects would have been exposed to very similar marketing messages in the past. So when they come across your message, the reptilian brain automatically categorizes it and rejects it because it says, I've seen this 1,000 times before, so I don't need to spend any energy on it. So here's kind of a graph showing, so essentially the information, your ad, your outreach, or any other organic marketing, it goes through, actually this arrow should be going through the eye. So it goes through the eyes and the ears, then it goes to the reptilian brain, and then the brain just ignores it, right? And this leads to high cost per lead, high cost per call, and ultimately high cost of customer acquisition. So what's the solution? The solution is the NeuraFunnel, which is a new kind of marketing system that thrives in today's attention recession. The NeuraFunnel bypasses your prospect's reptilian brain by positioning your offer and mechanism as new, novel, and superior in your prospect's mind. It avoids categorization, which ultimately forces your marketing message straight into the neocortex, and thus creating high conversions. Once we bypass the prospect's reptilian brain and we have their full attention, Now we can actually lay out our marketing argument and install the beliefs that the prospect needs to believe in order to buy your offer. So the NeuraFunnel consists of your entire marketing process, from the ads to the messaging, to the copy, to the offer we're using, and ultimately to the funnel and the VSL, the webinar, whatever we have in there, or if you're running a profile funnel, something that's inside of there, the marketing message, then essentially book the consults, books the sales calls in for you. So essentially, the NeuraFunnel is optimized for exactly how the human brain has evolved over millions upon millions of years. And I'll show you exactly how this works in a second. But there's a quote in marketing that says, marketing is applied psychology. And the definition of psychology is the scientific study of the human mind and its functions, especially those affecting behavior at any given context. So this is why the NeuraFunnel works and works so well. We're applying psychology to marketing. We understand how the human brain works and how it affects behavior, which is psychology, in the context of a prospect seeing advertising and marketing. So for marketing to convert highly, the mechanism must feel truly new. If it doesn't feel new, the brain ignores it entirely or reacts weakly, and it won't convert well. Why? Because new triggers dopamine, and dopamine makes the brain think, wow, there might be something rewarding here. Pay closer attention. Without that feeling of novelty, your message blends into the noise and disappears. And this is why the NeuraFunnel builds your entire marketing to look and feel radically different from everything else. Then it creates an airtight marketing argument, proving that your mechanism is exactly the solution that the prospect needs to solve their problem and get the result they want. What's the result? Your marketing does most of the selling for you, turning your salespeople into cashiers and converting at a much higher rates. So let me show you a quick graph of how this works in the process. So essentially, as you can see, here's a timeline where the prospect first sees your ad, then they click on the ad and go to your funnel, then they book that sales call, and the purchase is made. And this doesn't matter what the funnel is, whether it's a VSL funnel, webinar funnel, profile funnel. So here's what happens. They see your ad, we bypass the prospect's reptilian brain. The prospect sees your mechanism and offer as new, novel, and exciting. They're like, okay, wow, finally something new and different that can solve my problem and get me the results I'm looking for. Then we establish the marketing argument. So excited to learn more, the prospect goes through your marketing funnel, which then creates a full marketing argument on why your mechanism is the best solution for them, and then is able to get them the results they're looking for. And one by one, we establish the beliefs that they need to believe in order to accept your marketing thesis. Think about this. If you're selling a coaching, consulting offer, what do you need to do? There's a lot of different beliefs that the prospect needs to believe in order for them to buy. They need to believe that you're trustworthy. They need to believe that you have their best interest at heart. They need to believe that your mechanism works, that it works fast, that it's reliable, that it works even if they failed before, so on and so on and so forth. So we need to create all of those beliefs in the marketing for them to accept that thesis, which is that your mechanism is the best thing for them, right? So that's after they've clicked on the ad and gone through the funnel. Then they actually book that call. So once they book that call, two things will happen. Your show rates will be high because the prospects are excited due to just finding a solution to their problem and a new way to finally achieve their goal. Now second thing, closing will be much easier since they've already have the beliefs they need to believe in order to buy. So you're turning your salespeople into cashiers. The result of this is that your cost per lead, cost per call, and cost per acquisition will be lower than with any other typical advertising and marketing methods or funnels. And when your CAC is low, your customer acquisition cost is low, you can scale profitably. So, but you understand how the NeuraFunnel works, is why it's so effective at capturing, keeping attention, and generating more qualified sales calls that show up and buy, especially in today's economy. So if you're interested, shoot me a DM on IG at lehtonenbiz, or book a call below this video in the description. And we're looking for a small group of motivated coaches, consultants, and experts who want to work with us one-on-one to copy and paste the NeuraFunnel in their business over the next few weeks. And this does not work for everyone. So this only works for coaches, consultants, and experts who are generating a minimum of 20K per month and have money to spend on ads. So for those of you who still want more info, let me explain why I believe the NeuraFunnel is the absolute most effective method for client acquisition at scale. Number one, it creates a moat around your business. So the more and more your competitors are simply copying and pasting what you're doing, offering bigger and bolder guarantees and creating a race to the bottom. And why shouldn't they? If your uniqueness is your client results and how much you care for your clients, your competitors can easily make the same claims. So when people come into contact with your marketing, they mentally opt out because there's nothing new and nothing unique about it. They've seen it 100 times, which is why categorization equals death. But if you use the NeuraFunnel, you're going to have a strong, unique mechanism that's new, novel, and superior in your prospect's mind. And this does essentially three things. Number one, it demands attention. Number two, it separates you from the competition. And number three, it creates hope in the prospect's mind, which is like kind of this thing of like, oh, I didn't have that before. I tried to get the results, but I didn't have that before. So this is why I didn't get the results before. I didn't have this component or that thing or that unique thing. Now, this creates a moat around your business because you have a system that nobody else has, and your competitors can't really copy it because it's unique to you and the way you get your client results, allowing you to charge more and create your own category to sell from. Number two, it allows you to get much cheaper cost per call and ultimately cheaper cost per acquisition. So here's a simple way to think about it. If your advertising is pretty much the same as everyone else's, meaning there's nothing new, nothing unique, and nothing exciting about your ads and what you're offering, that obviously leads to significantly less people clicking on your ads. And when you're advertising on Facebook and IG, you're paying for impressions, which is essentially the same cost for you and your competitors, pretty much give or take. So as an example, if you're spending, let's say $50 to get 1,000 impressions, which means that 1,000 people in your target audience will see your ad. And then think about this. If what they see is exactly what they've seen 100 times, do you think that how many people do you think that out of those people who click on your ads will go to your funnel and book a call with you and buy? Do you think that many people of those will click on your ads, go to your funnel and book a call with you and buy? Of course not. And if you think that way, you severely underestimated the task at hand, which is getting people to click on your ads and book a sales call with you in today's competitive marketplace. And I urge you to learn this from my mentor, Todd Brown, who's one of the top marketers in the online and advertising space, or in the info consulting coaching space. He said, never underestimate the task at hand when it comes to getting people to buy online. Now, if we take the same scenario where we show you ads to 1,000 people in your target market, but this time the ads seem unique, they seem new, exciting, and your mechanism offer is superior to your competitors, do you think that more people will click on your ads? Of course. Now, this will lead to cheaper cost per click, that then leads to cheaper cost per lead, cost per call, cheaper cost per acquisition, and then obviously more profit. To drive this point home even further, here's an example. So imagine you're looking to lose 20 pounds and create your dream physique. You're scrolling through your IG newsfeed and you see an ad from a coach that says, learn how to lose 20 pounds and build muscle. I'm a certified physique coach. I've helped 1,000 people get in shape. Would you click on that? No, because you've seen that stuff 1,000 times, 100 times. It doesn't capture your attention and creates mental opt-out. There's nothing new and unique about it. But what if, for example, you saw an ad that was something like this? Now, this is just a random example I just wrote here, but bear with me here. So as an example, you saw an ad that talked about, hey, there's this new science-based DNA 4X method that's based on blood work and DNA testing that is allowing busy professionals to lose weight and build muscle rapidly. And let's say you're a busy professional in this case. So we test your blood work, DNA, and we modify the DNA 4X method specifically based on your testing results. This way, your diet and exercise regimen will be 100% optimized for your body, allowing you to eat the exact type of foods and work out in the exact type of way that will work for your body type and DNA, resulting in rapid and sustainable results. So that's a quick example I wrote, but I'm sure you get the point. Out of the 1,000 people that you're showing ads to, do you think more people would be interested in this, which is new and unique, or the former example that they've seen 100 times, which is like, hey, I'm a physique coach, I'll help you lose 20 pounds. Exactly. So this is why the NeuraFunnel works and why it allows you to get much cheaper cost per call and cost per acquisition. And that's just one of the examples. Number three, it will skyrocket your organic marketing. So once we've implemented the NeuraFunnel and position your offer and mechanism as new, novel, and superior in your prospect's mind, now afterwards, whatever organic content you do, whether it's on Instagram, YouTube, you're creating the same effect there as in your ads. So people will see your entire brand as different and better from the competition, allowing you to get much more traction with your content, leading to more leads, booked calls, and sales. And it's the same thing as I just explained what comes to ads a minute ago. So if your organic content is something your target market has seen 100 times, they will not watch it. But if it's new, unique, exciting, people will pay attention. Number four, like I mentioned before, so it makes selling on the phone much easier. So there's two sales have to happen when you're selling coaching consulting: sale in the system, sale in the program. First, you need to get your prospects to believe that your system is exactly what they need to solve their problem and that it's new and different from everything else out there. Then once that belief is established, you need to sell them on the actual program. Now the NeuraFunnel creates its first sale systematically and fully automated, making selling almost superfluous. How? Due to the way this process is structured all the way from the ads to the marketing funnel, the prospects will get on a sales call already pre-framed, believing that your system is the one thing that will solve their problems. Then all you have to do is sell them on the program, which is the easy part. So the way we do this is by creating belief in the unique mechanism in your VSL or whatever funnel you're using as they come into the funnel. So in that, the goal is to get them to believe the one thing, which is your marketing argument. And the marketing argument usually goes something like this. The XYZ method will solve my problem, get me results that I'm looking for better than any other solution out there. If the prospect believes this, then giving you money will become 10 times easier than if not. So in the VSL or in the funnel, we're creating something called sub-beliefs in a logical order, which essentially support that thesis. So essentially, what do the prospect need to believe in order for them to believe that thesis? That's what we're creating in the marketing, right? So when done the right way, you're giving your prospects valuable content, but not in the typical way. When most people talk about giving value, they refer to essentially teaching the prospect something. Hey, here's 1 to 3 steps or 1 to 3 pillars. And this kind of content is what you see all over the place. That is not actually proper marketing. Proper marketing changes and transforms your prospects' beliefs and gets them close to the sale. That's marketing, not like, hey, here's 3 tips to get sales online. Transforming of beliefs is far more valuable than any kind of steps or pillars. Why? Because when it's done correctly, you're creating belief in the prospect's mind that he or she can in fact succeed in whatever topic, and is creating the belief that there's a solution that will solve their problem and get them to their goal. Giving your prospect these beliefs is far valuable than any other type of content. And if your prospect doesn't have the right beliefs, that they essentially won't follow through with any content anyway. This is why using the NeuraFunnel, when using the NeuraFunnel, you're getting your prospects essentially one step closer to the sale, fully automated, alleviating tons of pressure from the sales call. So like I said before, if this sounds interesting and you see how this would make a difference in your results, don't hesitate to jump on this opportunity and book a call in the description box of this video, or send me a DM at LehtonenBiz in IG to see if this would be a good fit to you. So here's a couple of other things that you might be concerned about. So doesn't ads take a long time to get working? The answer is yes. No matter how good your marketing is, advertising is not a get-rich-quick scheme. There's still an initial time period where you have to test multiple different creatives, copy, and audiences to figure out what works and what doesn't specifically for your business. It's not easy, but you don't want it to be easy. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it and it wouldn't be valuable. But if you have patience, thick skin, you're able to stick through it, the rewards can be spectacular. So see, the way Facebook advertising works is that once you find something that consistently gets you sales within your CPA KPI, you can scale up to very high numbers. When I did 1.6 mil a month for a client using this process, we literally only had 3 ads and a couple of audiences that we were running to. But we were spending about $4K a day on these ads that created the $1.6 million in sales a month. To find those 3 ads and a couple of audiences, we had to test dozens and dozens of ads and audiences, which took months to do so. So some people might say, oh, that's a long time, but so what? Because anything great takes time and effort. And if the result is $1.6 million a month in sales, which would be mad that it took someone months to get there. Of course not. And yes, there's instances where you can turn the ads on within 7 days, you're already making multiple sales, but that's rare. And to achieve that, you usually need to have some kind of an advantage, whether that's a huge social following, tons and tons of credibility, or a completely new thing that gets amazing results. So there's a lot of variables in the process, but most of the time, it just takes time. So another thing to answer here, isn't this just a typical VSL, video sales letter funnel, or webinar funnel with some meta ads? So like I said, this is not a new funnel. The NeuraFunnel is not a new funnel. It's a way, it's a framework for doing those things more effectively that leads to better results. It's not what you do, it's how you do it, right? So what type of funnel you utilize, whether it's a webinar, case study, or profile funnel, doesn't really matter. Anyone can out there essentially can create these funnels in 1 hour. When it comes to Facebook and Instagram ads, you can drop some ads in 15 minutes. What matters is how you do them. For the actual meta ads, it's understanding human psychology and able to say something in your video ad, the headline and the copy of the ad that actually piques people's curiosity, captures their attention, and actually gets them to watch the entire ad. and gets people to click through. For your marketing funnel, it's knowing how to lay out a proper marketing argument that creates the belief that your unique mechanism is the thing that will solve their problem, and it's better than all the other solutions out there, and then gets people to book in a call with you and gets them to be excited to book that, to show up on that call. And this leads to qualified costs. This leads to qualified low-cost leads, low-cost calls, high show rates, and a low customer acquisition cost, which then obviously translates to a lot of sales and high profits. So it's not what you do, it's how you do it. After being in the advertising marketing game for over 9 years, I can tell you that there's a world of difference in between just throwing up some ads and funnels versus creating ads and funnels that actually convert and are scalable and sustainable. Think of creating a pasta dish. So I'm sure you can visit a grocery store right now, whip up some pasta dish right now in less than 20 minutes. But if you compare that to going to a Michelin star restaurant in New York City where you pay $300 for a pasta dish with the highest quality ingredients possible, and a Michelin star chef putting that together with a recipe that's taken 10 years to perfect, which one do you think will taste better? Exactly. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's the same thing applies to ads and marketing. All of these funnels and ads can work if they're done the right way. So if you're interested, shoot me a DM on IG at lehtonenbiz or book a call below this video. Like I said, we're looking for a small group of motivated coaches, consultants, and experts who want to work with us one-on-one to copy and paste the NeuraFunnel into their business over the next few weeks. This does not work for everyone. Only apply if you're a coach, consultant, expert, making a minimum of $20K a month and you have money to spend in ads.